In the 5-game series of Devil May Cry, Vergil is probably the most captivating, but also the most difficult to interpret character. The difficulty of understanding comes from the complexity of his character, as he is possessing both good and evil traits, being not only the bad guy you fight against, but also the protagonist you can play as. And without going too deep into this topic, in this video I would like to focus on Vergil in Devil May Cry 3 and try to figure out what exactly is ultimately thriving for, what exactly he is trying to achieve with power. Because other than saying,
I need more power,
he doesn't really talk much and doesn't reveal his plans on what he is going to do with it.
what are you gonna do with all that power, huh?
The question is he planning on using it for good or for evil? Is he having ambitions to rule the underworld and go against the human world, or does he want to side with humanity like his father did? I'm personally leaning towards the idea that despite his antagonistic actions and actually looking down on humans and considering them weak and pathetic, he ultimately strives for protecting mankind against demons, just like his father did. After all, he's all about looking up to his father, Sparda, whose legend is all about protecting humanity. But in this video, I'm not going to try and convince you to interpret Vergil this way, because at the end of the day, everyone has a different interpretation of the characters based on their own observings and feelings. So instead, I'm simply going to highlight the main clues and dissect the dialogues from the cutscenes in order to give you some ideas for your personal interpretation.
So, you're looking for the Book of Ancient Legends?
The first scene on the timeline is the moment when Arkham found and approached Vergil in a library. Vergil doesn't talk much in this cutscene and tries to make Arkham go away.
Leave me.
But the mysterious man insists and says,
People inherently fear evil. However, occasionally, a person may become seduced by evil.
I really love this line, as it tells how Arkham deeply understands human emotions and knows exactly how to play with Vergil's feelings in order to trick him. It's as if he knows that the word fear has an impact on Vergil. He knows that this is a sensitive emotion for him, so he turns around the idea for fear of evil into being seduced by evil. This idea of reversing fear with desire instantly makes Vergil's eyes light up and starts paying attention to Arkham. There is not much to go on here to understand Vergil, but perhaps at this point he's getting desperate in his search for anything he could inherit from his father, any form of item or weapon that could make him feel stronger. So when Arkham presents him the chance to get his hands on Sparda's sword, he immediately gets interested, even if it means that by obtaining it, he would unseal the portal between the human world and the demon world. Seems like his desire is so strong, he's becoming blind to the consequences it would bring. Perhaps he believes in himself that once he obtains the sword, he would be capable of protecting humanity against the demons, or he could proceed further into the underworld in order to defeat the ruler of the underworld. Whatever the case is, his goal is probably not to kill humans, but being ignorant of the fact that his actions could harm them by releasing more demons, because he fully believes in his capabilities of destroying all of them in the end. So if Vergil is guilty of one thing, then that is his pride, ambition, and blind belief in himself. He's strictly oppressing any doubt and fear, any sign of weakness within himself. He's being afraid of confronting the truth within and refuses to reflect on himself. Therefore, he comes to the conclusion that the victorious end will justify the means and worth the sacrifice, and decides to temporarily team up with Arkham in order to revive the Temen-ni-gru and get his hands on Sparda's weapon. I like to think that Vergil has good intentions and doesn't want to hurt anyone, and this is a tragic story of his goodness and self-confidence backfiring in the end. But you can also view it the other way around and interpret him as burying the light and goodness deep inside in order to become cold and freeing himself from the burden of emotions, which can explain his decision behind reviving the Temen-ni-gru and putting human lives at risk. The main question of reviving the Temen-ni-gru is, did humans get hurt by it? And the answer could potentially be, well, actually maybe not. Because when Dante exits his office, there are no sign of humans being left in the city, as they all fled from demons. So the tower actually arises inside an already empty city, so even though it caused some destruction, it didn't hurt humans. You can find evidence for this upon examining a pile of rubble on the street that says, "The town is devoid of life. People either already fled from fear of demons or they are dead." So it seems like the town has already got run down by demons even before the tower got raised, and whether or not the demon invasion was caused by Vergil activating the tower is not clear, but kinda implied. So even though maybe the tower itself didn't kill people, Vergil may have caused people to get slain by demons, as they managed to get into the human world as a consequence of releasing the tower. I think Vergil's lack of concern towards the consequences can be heard undermined when Arkham starts admiring the tower, but he replies,
That's none of my concern.
This could mean that he doesn't care about the purpose of the Temen-ni-gru, and upon unsealing it, the demons will be free to attack humans. Vergil is only focusing on obtaining Dante's side of the two amulets, the first step towards his goal. Then in this scene, he also slays down a demon, who thought they are on the same team. Vergil actually slays demons multiple times through the story to show that while he is acting as a bad guy, he actually doesn't side with the demons either. After all, just like Dante and Lady, I'm pretty sure he has many personal reasons to kill them. I personally interpret this story as the demons were already invaded the town even before Vergil arrived there. That's why it's abandoned, and his actions actually doesn't cause any humans to be killed. But again, that's just my interpretation, and I agree that it can be seen the other way around, and he's responsible for the release of demons. But then again, we don't really see what exactly happens in the very beginning, and all we see is him killing a group of demons before entering. So in conclusion, at the beginning of the story, Vergil is being shown as neither good or bad. However, in the cutscenes where he first appears, he is shown standing on the side with the bad guys. But instead of being interested in the tower, he focuses on attaining the other amulet. And a nice way to contrast his bad guy introduction, at the end of the scene he is shown slaying the same demon you were fighting against, illustrating to the player that he is not siding with them, and in fact you share something in common. This is where the complexity of DMC's storytelling starts, making you question the difference between humans and demons, as well as good and evil, as the answer is not simple black and white as you may presume.
You showed up.
Vergil finally starts talking and opening up about his views in one of the best cutscenes in the game that happens after you first fight against him. Even though you defeat his health pool, the cutscene after the fight shows them still fighting and Vergil not showing any signs of getting tired, unlike Dante, who still fights with aggression and impatience, showing a sharp contrast in their levels of skill and experience. During this, Vergil stops and asks Dante a question.
Why do you refuse to gain power? The power of our father, Sparta.
This tells us two things. One is that Vergil wants the power of their father. More specifically, he probably means attaining his sword first of all, and then secondly, it implies that Vergil is willing to share this power with his brother, and in fact trying to encourage him to join him and get stronger together. However, Dante doesn't even care about their father, and he just wants to fight Vergil out of hatred, so he keeps attacking, but their struggle ends with Vergil disarming Dante and stabbing him in the chest. And while holding the sword through his chest, Vergil delivers one of the most iconic lines in the game.
Foolishness, Dante. Foolishness. Might controls everything, and without strength, you cannot protect anything, let alone yourself.
It's so amazing how the writers managed to create such a short dialogue, but make it so powerful and package so much meaning into it, making it into a key to understand Vergil. First of all, saying that might controls everything tells a lot about his dark, pessimistic view about the world. But you can't blame him for thinking that, after witnessing how demons can easily overpower humans with their raw strength. He sees the world as a place where only those survive who are physically strong. But the most important part is without strength you cannot protect anything. This part to me implies that Vergil actually wants to protect something, just not revealing what exactly. But given his past, I'm sure he means he wants to protect not only himself, but people close to him, or humans in general. After all, he not only lost their mother to demons, but also probably lost other people after that. And the best part is that Vergil says this to Dante out of love and compassion, because he wants him to realize that he needs to get stronger in order to be able to protect himself and others. So in his way, he actually wants Dante to wake up and get stronger.
I see a devil inside you has awakened as well.
Wait. We should leave. For the moment we have all that we need. People once cried out in fear of this tower. Temen-ni-gru. A foundation that brought out fear. Fear.
The next time we see Vergil again is when he's proceeding further towards the sacrificial chamber, as now he thinks he has everything he needs in order to open the portal. While Vergil waits for Arkham to open the first door, the man can't help himself but to start going maniac and mumble about the Temen-ni-gru. He especially gets amused by the word fear.
Fear. Yes. Fear.
And when he says this word, the camera shows Vergil's expression getting serious. I like to interpret this as Arkham yet again tries to trigger Vergil's sensitivity to the word fear, just like he did when he first tricked him. And this is when you can start speculating on just how far Arkham planned all this, or if he is improvising. Because if he meant to trigger Vergil by the time he opens the final door, he perhaps predicted that Vergil is going to try and dispose of him as soon as he has no longer use for him. So even though Arkham looks surprised when Vergil speaks up about his suspicion towards him, maybe it's all part of his act, and he knew Vergil would probably turn on him eventually, as he suspects Arkham to do the same. However, before we moving on from this cutscene, I want you to pay attention to the dialogue that happens between the two, because it can be easily misunderstood.
Does that woman really bother you?
What are you talking about?
Why didn't you kill her? Perhaps because she's your daughter? Did some pesky fatherly love get in your way?
That's none of your...
To further your study of the black arts, you sacrificed your loving wife to become a devil as well. Knowing this, I thought you'd be more useful to me. But I was wrong. No wonder your attainment of power is incomplete.
What about you? You're an incomplete being as well. Both demon and human blood mingle in your veins.
Shut up. Now that the final door is open, I have no use for you.
And I'm saying this dialogue can be misunderstood because it can make it look like so Vergil kills Arkham and calling him useless because he didn't kill Lady as he expected, but I strongly believe that's not what happens here. Vergil has no interest in wanting the girl's death. Instead, The point Vergil is trying to make is that he already heard everything about him, and he reveals that he knows that Arkham is so evil, he even killed his own wife. Therefore, if he is capable of committing such a thing, then why wouldn't he suddenly become unable to kill his own daughter as well? This strikes a suspicion and disgust in Vergil towards Arkham, and he decides to dispose of the man to prevent him from turning on him as he moves forward. But there is one line that makes me question the meaning.
No wonder your attainment of power is incomplete.
I personally still questioning the true meaning of this sentence, because if it connects to the things he previously said about Arkham not being able to kill Lady, therefore he is weak, then it has heavy implications on Vergil's morality and sanity. So I refuse to believe this interpretation, and instead it might meant to refer to a separate topic about Arkham being too weak to fight back against Vergil. Or I could completely misunderstand this sentence, and Vergil was actually meant that because Arkham sacrificed his own wife, therefore his attainment of power is incomplete, because he tried to attain power through an evil ritual that yielded weak results. And if that's the case, it means that Vergil still have a good sense of morality, and he looks down on the actions of Arkham with absolute disgust and disrespects him completely. Okay, one more thing before we move on from this cutscene. When Vergil says,
To further your study of the black arts, you sacrificed your loving wife to become a devil as well. Knowing this, I thought you'd be more useful to me. But I was wrong.
you might be interpreting this sentence in a way that Vergil actually admired Arkham because of this, and that's why he thought he would be more useful, and I don't blame you, that's literally what he said. This time I have no other defense for Vergil's morality other than pointing out the fact that this sentence is a little bit different in the Japanese subtitles, which actually translates to, when I heard that, I decided to use you, meaning when Vergil heard about the despicable actions of Arkham, he decided to use him, meaning he was planning all along to use Arkham to open the doors for him and then give what this murderer deserves and kill him as soon as he has no longer use for him.
Now that the final door is open, I have no use for you.
Yes, I was manipulated. Manipulated by a devil named Vergil.
Vergil?
He's attempting to bring the demon world back to this modern day.
There is also another way of interpreting a character, and it's through how other characters interpreting him. This doesn't shine too much good light on Vergil either, as both Arkham and Dante making him look like the bad guy. There are 3 instances we can mention. The first is when Arkham deceives Lady into pursuing Vergil.
He's attempting to bring the demon world back to this modern day. A world that Sparta once sealed off.
Even though this sentence is a lie, it still could have a true implications that as a consequence of his actions, the portal he opens would probably end up remaining open, since he would remove the key that holds it shut, the Sword of Sparta. I'm pretty sure Vergil doesn't want demons to destroy humanity, but then again, like I said before, he probably didn't plan everything ahead and simply believing in his own capabilities of destroying every demon. Moving on, Arkham says a similar sentence after he reveals himself.
You want to know why the spell didn't break? Vergil? You have the 2 amulets and Sparta's blood. You had everything you needed to unleash the evil.
I told you before, I don't like anybody who has a bigger mouth than mine.
This time Arkham doesn't intend on lying, and he perceives Vergil as someone who wants to achieve the same thing as him, to unleash evil. And finally, Dante's perception is being revealed when he talks to Lady.
This whole business started with my father, sealing the entrance between the 2 worlds. And now, my brother's trying to break that spell and turn everything into Demonville.
And at this point you may be playing around with the idea, what if Vergil actually wants to do that? When you think about the fact that he maybe began to perceive demons and the underworld as his actual family and home. After all, he hates his weak human side and he wants to become part of the full demon club like his father. He even calls the demon world as his home when he decides to fall down.
This place was our father's home.
However, that doesn't really fit to be the case, as demons actually tries to kill him, and he is also killing demons without hesitation. So Vergil at this point seems to start losing his sense of identity, neither feel like belonging to humans, but not siding with demons either. Personally, I don't think his goal is to help demons destroy the human world. After all, regardless of what he thinks of humans, he still grew up in the human world and maybe even fell in love with another human, and if he wants to pursue his father's footsteps, he might be even considering becoming the protector of mankind, just like him. And the simple reason why Dante says that he wants to turn everything back to Demonville is because not even Dante understands what his brother tries to achieve. As far as he is concerned, it's going to lead into demons invading the human world if he doesn't stop Vergil. As Arkham makes it first to the seal, we can see what could have happened if Vergil succeeded. He removes the Force Edge from the spot where Sparda left it 2000 years ago, and in doing so, the power of Sparda gets absorbed into his body. This is a bit curious, since we don't see the same happening to Vergil when he obtains the sword. In any case, Arkham is unable to control this power and the weapon turns him into a monster. But as Dante battles this creature, halfway through the fight, he is seemingly struggling to succeed, and Vergil arrives to help him out.
I've come to retrieve my power. You can't handle it.
I would like to point out one interesting thing in this cutscene. Notice the way Vergil enters into the scene. Behind him, there is an open cut mark can be seen on the wall, indicating that he cut his way through to get there. In contrast, Dante worked hard to get to this place, going through not only facing his shadow, but looking into the mirror to reflect on himself and his capabilities, and remembering all the bosses he faced before, then finally reaching enlightenment, symbolized by obtaining the Samsara item. Going through all this, Dante enters the main door to reach Arkham, while Vergil literally took a shortcut to get here. A shortcut, got it?
Personally, I see every crisis, every challenge as an opportunity. So to all young people I say, have patience, there are no shortcuts in life. At our railway stations, there hangs a sign. For those who habitually cross the tracks instead of using the bridge. It reads, "Shortcut will cut you short." I would tell young people the same, shortcut will cut you short. There are no shortcuts in life. Patience and perseverance are essential. Whatever responsibility we are given, we must pour our heart into it. We should live it with passion, enjoy the journey, and find fulfillment in it. I truly believe that if this mindset is cultivated, it transforms life.
Vergil seemingly skips all this journey and learning process. He is simply too powerful already to bother with all of this, or maybe simply ignoring the challenges and refuses to reflect on himself. He can just move wherever he wants to using the Yamato. I feel like this is one of the important differences between Dante and Vergil that determines the outcome at the end. Vergil, however, is still capable of cooperation when it comes to having the same enemy. In the end, the brothers succeed at taking down Arkham and exchange weapons in the process. And interestingly, Vergil decides to break his own rules of being like an honorable samurai and uses a gun on Arkham, which shows just how much Vergil disrespects and despises him. But even though this fight against Arkham does a lot of good guy points for Vergil, it doesn't change his mind in the end. And now we get to the final confrontation between the two brothers, and there is a lot to analyze and dissect here. Even the menu screen before the final mission tells us something important. The mission objective says, "Cast away your pride." I feel like at the end, this is the key difference between the brothers. While Dante manages to learn how to cast away his pride, Vergil fails to do so. He is still too prideful, still fully believes in himself, being capable of equal achievements as his father, not willing to accept the truth that he is not ready for the task yet. In the cutscene before the final fight, we see the Force Edge falling down into the flowing water below, and it's Vergil being the faster one to grab it. And as he finally gets his hands on the sword, he smiles for a moment, but he is not satisfied and immediately wants more.
give that to me.
No way. You got your own.
Well, I want yours too.
Now he has his eyes on Dante's part of the amulet, perhaps needing it because, as we've seen in Devil May Cry 1, when the Force Edge and the two amulets are all combined together, the true form of the sword is being unleashed. But then, in the next moment, Dante asks the most important question from his brother.
What are you gonna do with all that power, huh? No matter how hard you try, you're never gonna be like Father.
We're wasting time!
And with that, we get all the answers we were looking for. Dante asking directly what is Vergil planning on doing once he gets the power he wants. But instead of answering, Vergil loses his patience, as if he himself doesn't know yet what he is going to do with it. It is also important how Dante points out that Vergil wants to be like their father. This pretty much answers the question, what does Vergil thriving for? He wants to be like his father, and he fully believes in himself that he is capable of it. But Dante sees through all of this, and he knows that his brother is not ready yet to take on such an ambition, and doesn't trust in him being capable of responsibility using that power, and so he decides that he needs to stop Vergil.
And now, my soul is saying it wants to stop you!
Unfortunately, our souls are at odds, brother. I need more power.
And with that, the final fight begins, and despite both of them being equally powerful, Dante's soul ends up being stronger, and he deals a defeating strike on his brother. When Vergil crumbles, the cutscene turns into slow motion for a moment, and showing us some beautifully detailed animation to tell us something. In that moment, Vergil almost falls and drops both the sword behind him and the amulet in front of him, but instead of reaching for the sword, he immediately reaches for the amulet, as it is more important to him than the weapon. Could be a nice parallel to the cutscene in the beginning where Dante reaches for the pizza instead of picking up the gun from the floor, as it is more important to him. In the next moment, Vergil clenches the amulet and starts talking something that is almost nonsense.
No one can have this, Dante. It's mine. It belongs to a son of Sparta.
I always seen this dialogue as a clue that Vergil is kind of losing his mind at this moment, because it doesn't make sense to me for him to suddenly become possessive over the amulet that Dante doesn't care about taking away. This scene is the most heartbreaking for me, and I can't help but feel emotional every time I see it, because of the way Dante gets scared and tries to save his brother, and Vergil also tries to save Dante by telling him to leave this place before it's too late.
Leave me and go, if you don't want to be trapped in the demon world. Leave me. I'm staying. This place was our father's home.
The one question remains is, why did Vergil cast himself off into the underworld? For me, I always interpreted it as an improvised decision that he suddenly made right in that moment, out of shame, because he couldn't handle the feeling of being defeated. But what if he actually planned this from the beginning? Maybe he was planning on obtaining the Force Edge, then while the portal is open, he could proceed further into the underworld to completely become like his demon father, living there. As a consequence of the huge fall into the abyss, Vergil seems like he got quite injured from it, and he tries to stand up and catch his breath. But as soon as he gets up, he meets none other than the one who got his mother killed and his home destroyed, Mundus.
It'll be fun to fight with the Prince of Darkness. If my father did it, I should be able to do it too.
Yet again, this encounter with Mundus seems to be pretty coincidental, as if Vergil wasn't expecting to run into him immediately. But what if I was wrong all along? What if this is exactly what Vergil planned all along and in fact was expecting him down there? Maybe he needed to become more powerful in order to take revenge on Mundus? It could be very likely the case. But personally, it always felt like he was only focusing on obtaining the Force Edge first and did not expect at all to lose to Dante. He believed in himself so much, he just did not understand how is this even possible. After that, he cast himself off the cliff into the unknown because he couldn't bear the shame of defeat. However, it is probably also true that his plans after obtaining the Force Edge would have been to jump down into the demon world to take on Mundus and maybe even become the new ruler. And that is the ending of Devil May Cry 3, a game that is a prequel to the first game, so it was meant to tell the story of not only Dante but Vergil as well, and to show how he ended up becoming the mind-controlled servant of Mundus. So these are my thoughts and interpretations. I hope you enjoyed and I could give you some new perspectives, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching and listening to me, and see you in the next one. Take care.